everyone, it's Amanda, and today I'm going to do my March wrap-up. I attempted to film this several times, and I don't know, I just wasn't feeling it. So I'm going to try it one more time. So in March, I read 7 books, and 2 books I tried to read and did not finish. So 7 complete, 2 that I DNF'd, I guess is the terminology. So I'm going to start. The first one, which I think I put in my February wrap-up because I finished it on March 1st, so technically I did not read it in March, but I put it in there anyway, and that is Insurgent by Veronica Roth. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. Out of the trilogy, this was my least favorite of the 3. I don't really even remember much of what happened in this book, and it's only been a month since I read it, so it just wasn't very memorable, but I did enjoy it. The next book I read was Allegiant by Veronica Roth, and this was my second favorite. Divergent was my favorite. It has been my favorite book of the whole year. It's still holding that title, but I did like this. I was fine with the ending. I thought it was nice for the author to kind of step out of the box and do something a little different, and I didn't mind it. So I thought it was pretty good. The next book that I read, is 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher, and I gave this book a 2 out of 5 stars. It just was not, I just didn't really like it. I did not like Hannah, the main character. I think that's why I didn't rate this book very high. I didn't like what she did to these people, kind of like haunting them from the grave. I also she was making, she had been hurt, obviously, but she was kind of inconsiderate to someone. Like, one of her things was people were being inconsiderate, but then she was completely inconsiderate to one of the girls on her tape, and it just really rubbed me the wrong way. I just did not really like this book. I understood what the author was trying to say with this book, that we need to be careful about how we treat people because we don't know what they're going through, but just didn't like it. The next book that I did not finish is Plumb Lucky by Janet Ivanovich. I purchased this at the Dollar Tree, and I purchased it with the intention of taste testing Janet Ivanovich's reading. It's very short, and I'm sorry, my dog always scratches every time I do a video. Every single time. That's the only time he tends to scratch, is when I do videos. But anyway, so I bought this to kind of see what I thought of her writing, and this book was just completely and utterly ridiculous. I understand she writes funny stories. To me, it was just totally like too out there for me. It just wasn't for me. At some point, I just got sick of it. I just put it down. But I have read on Goodreads that this is not her best, and if you are trying to look for a book to read by her, it doesn't sound like this is the one. So I do have another book that I purchased by her that I'm going to try to read. If I don't like it, then she's just not my kind of author. But yeah. Then another book that I just did not finish is Bliss by Lauren Miracle. I liked the storyline of this book. Well, part of it. It's about this teenage girl. It takes place in the 60s. Her name is Bliss. Her parents are hippies, and they moved to Canada to escape the draft and sent her to live with her grandmother. So while she's living with her grandmother, she's attending a private school. And at this school, there are rumors that a girl had committed suicide by jumping off of a building. It takes place during the same time as the Charles Manson murders, and I thought that was really interesting reading about like how people were dealing with that, because I know that had to have been a very, very scary time. Just these senseless murders that were occurring that didn't seem to have any rhyme or reason. So I liked that. But then there was a lot of talk of this girl that had committed suicide, and Bliss befriends this other girl that is kind of strange, and just for me personally, I just didn't like where the story seemed to be heading, and I just kind of decided that it wasn't for me, and I just put it down. So yeah. Then I read Geralds Game by Stephen King. One word for this book is disturbing. This book was really, really kind of, there were some points where it was very gruesome, graphic. Stephen King knows how to be gruesome, very disturbing. And this is a book where kind of like the situation, it's not vampires, it's not, you know, zombies. This is something that in a far-fetched world, it could happen. And those kind of books scare me more than anything else because I'm like, oh, that could really happen. Like, that's really creepy. The ending of this book is one of those endings where when I think about it, even now, and I ponder the ending, I get chills because I don't want to say a lot because I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, this book was pretty good. I ended up giving this 3 out of 5 stars. The reason I didn't give it a higher rating is because there were some times where he just got really super descriptive, and I felt like it kind of got slow and dragged in some points. But for overall, I did really enjoy this story. I then read A Reliable Wife by Robert Gulrick, and this one I gave 3 out of 5 stars to as well. I liked the storyline again, but this author, I just did not care for his writing style. I felt like he went overboard with his descriptions, and things that just weren't even that big of a deal was like 4 pages of description, and I just was getting sick of it. There were some twists in this book that I didn't see coming. I like that. It would have gotten a 4-star rating if I would have enjoyed his writing style better, but I felt like it just wasn't my favorite. I then read Speak Softly, She Can Hear by Pam Lewis. I am considering doing a review on this book. I thought this book was really good. This was my favorite book of the month. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. It was pretty good. It did not go in the way I expected, and I would not say this was a thriller. I thought it was going to be, and especially the first chapter is very thrilling and like very disturbing and uncomfortable to read. But then after that, it slows down, and it's more of what I would call a coming of age than a thriller. So I guess I'll kind of review it now. That's quick, because I don't have a whole lot to say about it. It's about a teenage girl named Carol. She's 16, and her friend Naomi, and she decide to lose their virginity to this guy. They want to lose their virginity before graduation. And this guy, 26-year-old Eddie, is the one who's going to do it. So they live in New York City, but they go to Stowe, Vermont, to this little cabin and do that, and some things go horribly wrong. And that's how it opens. For Carol, things go horribly wrong. And then the rest of the story is just how she's dealing with this horrible incident that occurred, and it basically ruins her life, and she just cannot move on from it. And Eddie is a horrible, horrible person. I don't think anyone could like him. And he continues to come back into her life and remind her of what has happened, and it's awful. But I felt like it was really well done. The ending is pretty thrilling, and the beginning is pretty thrilling. But in between it is a slower-paced book, but I still enjoyed it. And it spans the course of, I think, 10 or 15 years. So it was pretty good. The last book I read in March is Shatter Me by Tahira Mafi. And I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. I did not love this book, and I come to the conclusion, I know why this book wasn't as good for me as it was for so many people. This book, I love dystopian worlds, and it's a dystopian book, but it's more focused on the relationship between Juliet and Adam, and it's more of like a romance than it is about the world, whereas like Divergent and The Hunger Games had that romance part, but it was a side story, and the main thing was about what was happening in the world and how they were dealing with it. This just kind of wasn't like that, and so I'm not bashing the book per se. I'm just kind of saying, for me, I don't prefer romance. So I think that's why. I thought it was interesting, though. It was a different concept. The other thing I did not love about this book that kind of drove me crazy, and I'm still kind of having some frustrations with Unravel Me, that's what I'm reading now, is the writing style. I know a lot of people love it, and it is very poetic, For me, it just is not my favorite. And the metaphors are driving me up the wall. I just think I'm a concrete thinker. I like just the facts, not really, I just think more on a concrete level. So I don't care for this kind of style with all the metaphors and everything like that. Some people love it. Some people hate it. I think it's just one of those where you either really like it or you really don't. And just wasn't for me. But I gave this book a 3 out of 5. Like I said, I didn't hate it. I did enjoy it. I just didn't love it. So those are the books that I read in March. I wouldn't say March was a very good reading month for me. I just did not really like... I didn't love any of the books that I read, but I did enjoy some of them. So I'm hoping April will be better. I'm hoping I'll find some that I like better. I'm trying to taste test and go through different genres. I might do an April TBR. I haven't gotten around to that yet, but I might try that and kind of pull from different parts of my bookshelves. I have them sorted by genre now, which I might do a bookshelf tour at some point too. But I think I might try to pull from each genre and try to get a nice variety going in my reading from April. But that's all I have for today. I hope you all have a great day and a great month, and I'll see you next time.